Alright guys, back in another video, and this time we're going to be doing the deck that I played at Nationals, but we updated it with some cards in the next set, and I want to talk about the impacts this deck has on the format and why you should be looking into it if you have not already. First of all, Broly Leader, same thing, attack, take a life, draw a card, Awaken, untap 2. Boom, one of the best leaders in the game, rest blockers. And blockers will be very key in this upcoming format, especially those revenge blockers and stuff like that with Broma. Stuff like that. There's a lot of different decks, so this rest ability is very powerful, and to take a life to restand is pretty broken in general. And it gives you a lot of ways to play around things in the game with your leader, and it helps you beat Hatchet and stuff like that. So, if you didn't see my last video, we played Swap. So, it's like Storm, where you play your 4 Successors of Hope, and you play a number of swap cards to make sure you open them. So we got 3 Grandpas. This could be 4. It's up to you. I mean, honestly, the preference for these ratios can change just slightly, but it doesn't really change much. 3 of Dependables. I was playing 4. We're going to put it down 3, and we still play the 1 Intrepid. Now, you could go 2-2 if you want. This is more for aggro, and this is more for just being able to protect against the removal, because you do want to go into your swap 3 play on turn 2, which would be either Path to Greatness, which is searchable, and Source of Power. Now, this is your main play. Now, if you're playing against a lot of the aggro decks, so you swap 1, turn 2, swap into one of these. Next turn, attack with this one or this one, whichever it is. Swap into Source, take 2 life. If they attack you at all, you're at 4. You awaken, and you attack when you awaken, etc. And then you apply a lot of pressure. Now, when you apply this swap, I will go ahead and get to the end, because you know what swap does. It returns the card back to your hand. It triggers this new card, Son Goku, the Rescuer. Obviously, this card is blue, and it's not a swap card, but it does have applications for this deck. Whenever you swap in this deck, or return any battle card to the hand, either by his skill or any skill, return it to your opponent's skill. Like, if it returns to your opponent's hand or your hand, you get to play him for hand for free. And so it's a free 15k. So your turns end up being 15, 20, 20, 15, 15. And then that's just a lot of pressure in general. And you'll awaken on that turn. So after you do that, you can either in combo one of these guys with your 2 energy. So on your turn 2, you can swing 5 times. So similar to Storm, but no unyielding. You're just using your untap 2 and your leader. But after that, your deck slows down a lot. So you can either hold this for your opponent's turn, which a lot of times I do. So I don't combo this on my turn, but it is more pressure if you feel like you really need to force them to awaken on turn 2, play on your level. And then you have all this board, and they can't really do anything with it. And you have a 15, a 15, a 20, and your leader for them to deal with the next turn if they can't clear any of it. But yes, these cards, and this guy, if you know what he does, combo 2, and you play him for 2 energy, and after the combo resolves, and then he will rest a card and draw a card, and he comes in active, so he can attack with 20k double strike as well. But this guy also has the ability in the grave, which is relevant. If you combo away with it or whatever, he dies. You can pay the blue energy. They usually charge one of these, and so you have blue energy allowed for Bean. You pay the blue if you feel like it's one of your last ditch efforts to kill them. You can bounce a blocker back to their hand, and that's pretty much what it's for. But usually that ability doesn't come out that often. You don't really want to tap your blue out like that unless you want to use your leader to restand your blue, which is very awkward. You don't usually want to do that. That's it for your main components of the deck. This is mainly just support. You got your 4 super combos. Your 4 Perigus. Now, this deck is not an arrival deck, have you noticed? But this card is like Upstart Goblin, Yu-Gi-Oh! Every time you see this card, you just sit into the drop and draw a card. Feels your drop for Overrealm, which is very important because you do play some Overrealm cards that you want to get online. And to your other support cards, you have your 2 Time Magic, your 1 best secret in the game, and Bloodlust. Just effect value from Yu-Gi-Oh! It's insane. And in this deck, if you do usually draw this card and you hold it for Dark Banish or anything like that, it's a blowout. If you hold it for anything that you feel would threaten you, usually a blowout. Hold this for Topo, it's a blowout. They tap 2 energy for nothing. Discard the card for nothing. Then you rest the Topo, and they can't combo with it, so you waste 2 cards in their hand. And then the 2 Cooler. That's it for your yellow cards. This is actually not as important in this deck the way it's played, because your 3 energy is not 3 yellow energy is not until turn 4 in most cases. But he can just win the game outright with you attack with your Bardock at the start of your turn usually, and then you tap 3 yellows and then draw 2, and it's pretty nuts. So usually you don't get the draw 2, to be honest. It's like draw 1, unless you're just in a position to where it works with Mira. So to your blue cards, 4 beans. Card is insane, and then 3 Weasel Coercion. Now, this card is very important, like I said in my last video, for the deck the way it plays because of the Ape Bardock. So you want to keep your energy open, so you don't want to tap for Nimbus or anything like that. You can side Nimbus if you want, or main it in general. Jamal liked it and didn't really try this card yet, but in my testing, this card is just absolutely insane. It's the best in the game. It's blue energy. You can't get much better from it, and I did end up cutting the East Cast. The card did nothing for me last event, but I would side the card for sure for other 8 mirrors. 2 Dart Banisher. Last time it was 1, and then the 2 Mirror, but we swapped the ratio up this time. So we all know that Mirror is insane with this leader, with Broly leader. You can restand it after attacks and give double strike with Champa, but in the grand scheme of things, their board is usually pretty wide, or you just, this right here will just end the game, and if it doesn't end the game, I don't understand what you're doing wrong, but it will end the game in most cases, and when it does go, you can restand it again with your leader, you can bean it, make it swing multiple times. I know the cunning cards exist, but I don't expect a lot of decks to be able to run those cards. If they do, I'll just play the beans defensively. So, side deck cards, I'll just go ahead and go talk a few about them. Still relevant, desperate measures for the red matchup mainly, and then it can just stop Topo mainly. And you just side the 1 or 2. You still side these for the yellow matchup, and then if you're really playing against Hatchet, just side on a 3rd one of these because you really need to see it. There's a bunch of ramp cards now with Android 21, so these cards are still relevant. Almost every card in the side deck from last time is still relevant. This is still for U6, and I might side a 3rd one of these now, because it's just that good against a lot of decks, and it helps your stuff awaken. But so for the side deck cards, I will say that TN, I'm not sure if he's still necessary, but there are a lot of blue decks on the rise, so probably not going to need this card anymore. Just play something else. But thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.